Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy. I am an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the book of 2 Samuel. We are in chapter 18, and we are marching ourselves along the story of David. We are nowhere near the end of the story of David, so we're just going to keep right on going. Absalom's death. So it's the first of, well, really the second of David's children that we've seen this happen. No, actually the third. Come to think of it, because first it was the baby with Bathsheba, who, was born but didn't live. And then there was the rapey kid, and who Absalom killed, and now there's Absalom. Absalom's death. David mustered the men who were with him and appointed over them commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. David sent the troops out, a third under the command of Joab, a third under Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, Zeruiah, and a third under Ittai, Ittai, the Gittite, Gittite. The king told the troops, I myself will surely march out with you. But the men said, you must not go out. If we are forced to flee, they won't care about us. Even if half of us die, they won't care. But you are worth 10,000 of us. So, two Hebrew manuscripts, and the Septuagint and the Vulgate, and some other Hebrew manuscripts care, but there are 10,000 like us. It would be better now for you to give us support from the city. The king answered, I will do whatever seems best to you. I gotta tell you, anytime we come across that in the Bible with do whatever you think is best, or I will do whatever you think is best, very rarely, unless it is literally they are somebody that specifically they just went and talked to God, you can see them prophesying, whatever it might be like that. It's almost never a good idea. So every time that shows up, even when I know how the story goes, I can't help it. I just sort of go, ooh. So the king stood beside the gate while all the men marched out in units of hundreds and of thousands. The king commanded Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, be gentle with the young man Absalom for my sake. And all the troops heard the king giving orders concerning Absalom to each of the commanders. The army marched into the field of fight of Israel, and the battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. There the army of Israel was defeated by David's men, and the casualties that day were great, 20,000 men. The battle spread out over the whole countryside, and the forest claimed more lives that day than the sword. Wow. So they were running into things in the forest, like maybe spiky trees and brambles and maybe falling. I don't know what they could be. Now Absalom happened to meet David's men. He was riding a mule, and as the mule went under the thick branches of a large oak, Absalom's head caught in the tree. He was left hanging in mid-air while the mule he was riding kept going. Now, I know you're like, what? So his hair was really long. A lot of these, especially if they were, remember, all of David's sons were considered like priests, which is what the Levites are supposed to be. And the only way you can do that is to become a Nazirite, which involves, like Samson, not cutting your hair. So he was riding around, and he's trying to escape, and he's on the back of a donkey, and his fro got caught in the bramble, and the donkey kept going, and he just slid right off the donkey. Like he tried to duck under something, and he didn't duck low enough. Not a problem we usually think of a man having, but easily people with wave, because this is just more like wavy, not really like curly, super curly haired people. They're going to know what that means. They're going to know what's up with that. It's one bad, humidity day away from getting caught in a bramble if you were on the back of a donkey. That's a whole new hair level day now, isn't it? When one of the men saw this, he told Joab, I just saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree. Aw. Joab, the man, said to the man who told him this, what? You saw him? Why didn't you strike him to the ground right here? Then I would give you 10 shekels. F. That is about 4 ounces or about 115 grams of silver, and a warrior's belt. Wow, so fashion accessory too. But the man replied, even if 1,000 shekels, that is about 25 pounds or 11 kilograms, so that's a lot more, were weighed out in my hands, I would not lift my hands against the king's son. In our hearing, the king commanded you, Abishai and Ittai, protect the young man Absalom for my sake. H. For you, a few Hebrew manuscripts, the Septuagint, the Vulgate, and the Syriac. Absalom, whoever you may be. So no matter who finds him, he's still my son, kind of thing. And if I had put my life in, and if I had put my life in jeopardy, or otherwise, if I had acted treacherously towards him, and nothing is hidden from the king, you would have kept your distance from me. Joab said, I am not going to lie in wait like this for you. So he took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them into Absalom's heart while Absalom was still alive in the oak tree. And 10 of Joab's armor bearers surrounded Absalom, struck him, and killed him. Then Joab sounded the trumpet, and the troops stopped pursuing Israel, for Joab halted them. They took Absalom, threw him into a big pit in the forest, and piled up a large heap of rocks over him. Meanwhile, all of the Israelites fled to their homes. During his lifetime, Absalom had taken a pillar and erected it in King's Valley as a monument to himself, for he thought, I have no son to carry on the memory of my name. He named the pillar after himself, and it is called Absalom's monument to this day. David mourns, because he's a dad. So now Ahimaaz, Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, said, let me run and take the news to the king that the Lord has delivered him from the hand of his enemies. You are not the one to take the news today, Joab told him. You may take the news another time, but you must not do so today, because the king's son is dead. Then Joab said to the Cushite, go tell the king what you have seen. The Cushite bowed down before Joab and ran off. Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, can't say it like the same way twice for some reason, said to Joab, come what may, please let me run behind the Cushite. But Joab replied, my son, why do you want to go? You don't have any news that will bring you a reward. He said, come what may, I want to run. So Joab said, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain A, that is the plain of Jordan, and outran the Cushite. Ooh. When David was sitting between the inner and outer gates, the watchman went up to the roof of the gateway by wall. He looked out and saw a man running alone. The watchman called out to the king, and reported it. The king said, if he is alone, he must have good news. And the man came closer and closer. Then the watchman saw another man running, and he came down to the gatekeeper. Look, another man running alone. The king says, he must bring good news too. The watchman said, it seems to me that the first one runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zadok. He is a good man, said the king. He comes with good news. Then Ahimaaz called out to the king, all is well. He bowed down before the king with his face to the ground. Praise to the Lord your God. He's delivered up the men who have lifted their hand against the Lord the king. The king answered, is the young man Absalom safe? Ahimaaz answered, I saw great confusion just as Joab was about to send the king's servant and me, your servant, but I don't know what it was. The king said, stand aside and wait here. So he stepped aside and stood there. Then the Cushite arrived and said, my lord the king, hear the good news. The Lord has delivered you today from all who rose up against you. The king asked the Cushite, is the young man Absalom safe? The Cushite replied, may the enemies of my lord the king and all who rise up to harm you be like that young man. The king was shaken. He went up to the room over the gateway and wept. As he went, he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son. So he's in grief, as one would expect. Until the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy, and I am an ordained minister. We are in Bible study. We are in the Niv. We are in the book of 2 Samuel, and we are in chapter 19. We are continuing our story of David, and where we left off, David was in deep mourning for his son Absalom. He had thrown himself onto his bed and was weeping. Joab was told, the king is weeping and mourning for Absalom. And for the whole army, the victory that day was turned into mourning, because on that day the troops heard it said, the king is grieving for his son. The men stole into the city that day, as men steal in who are ashamed when they flee from battle. The king covered his face and cried aloud, oh, my son Absalom! Oh, Absalom, my son, my son! Then Joab went into the house to the king and said, today you have humiliated all your men who have just saved your life and the lives of your sons and daughters and the lives of your wives and concubines. You love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that the commanders and their men mean nothing to you. I see that you would be pleased if Absalom were alive today and all of us were dead. Wow, he's taking it serious, right? Real personal. Now go out and encourage your men. I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a man will be left with you by nightfall. This will be worse for you than all the calamities that have come upon you from your youth until now. So the king got up and took his seat in the gateway. When the men were told, the king is sitting in the gateway, they all came before him. So wow, that's a pretty strong arm, especially when one's talking to one's king. David returns to Jerusalem. Meanwhile, the Israelites had fled to their homes. Throughout the tribes of Israel, the people were all arguing with each other, saying, "The king delivered us from the hand of our enemies. He is the one who rescued us from the hand of the Philistines. But now he has fled the country because of Absalom. And Absalom, who we anointed to rule over us, has died in battle. So why do you say nothing about bringing the king back?" King David sent this message to Zadok and Abiathar the priests: "Ask the elders of Judah, why should you be the last to bring the king back to his palace, since what is being said throughout Israel has reached the king at his quarters? You are my brothers, my own flesh and blood. So why should you be the last to bring back the king?" And say to Amasa, "Are you not my own flesh and blood? May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if from now on you are not the commander of my army in place of Joab." Wow. He won over the hearts of all the men of Judah as though they were one man. They sent word to the king, "Return, you and all your men." Then the king returned and went as far as the Jordan. Now the men of Judah had come to Gilgal to go out and meet the king and bring him across the Jordan. Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjaminite from Baharim, when he was cursing, hurried down with the men of Judah to meet King David. With him were 1,000 Benjaminites, along with Ziba, the steward of Saul's household, and his 15 sons and 20 servants. They rushed to the Jordan where the king was. They crossed at the ford to take the king's household over and to do whatever he wished, because they had made a problem. So now he's got to go kiss up, because watch who you mess with. You just don't know what the Lord's going to do. He loves to come at people who are uppity. Trust me. When Shimei, son of Gera, crossed the Jordan, he fell prostrate before the king and said to him, "My lord, may my lord not hold me guilty. Do not remember how your servant did wrong on the day my lord the king left Jerusalem. May the king put it out of his mind, for I, your servant, know that I have sinned. But today I have come here as the first of my whole house of Joseph to come down and meet my lord the king." Because remember, when the Benjaminites were almost wiped out, there was a crossover between the Ephraimites and Benjaminites. So there are Benjamin Josephites, if you will, or sons of Joseph who are Benjaminites, which are really, they're all sons of Rachel. Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said, "Shouldn't Shimei be put to death for this? He cursed the Lord's anointed." David replied, what do you and I have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? This day you have become my adversaries. Should anyone be put to death in Israel today? Do I not know that today I am king over Israel? So the king said to Shimei, "You shall not die." And the king promised him on oath. Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, also went down to meet the king. He had not taken care of his feet or trimmed his mustache or washed his clothes from the day the king left until the day he returned safely. When he came from Jerusalem to meet the king asked him, "Why didn't you go with me?" Mephibosheth, really long name, Mephibosheth, he said, "My lord the king, since I, your servant, am lame, I said, I will have my donkey saddled and will ride on it so I can go with the king. But Ziba, my servant, betrayed me. He said, he has slandered your servant to my lord the king. My lord the king is like an angel of God, so do whatever pleases you. All my grandfather's descendants deserve nothing but death from the Lord, my lord the king. But you gave your servant a place among those who sat at your table. So what right do I have to make any more appeals to the king?" The king said to him, "Why say more? I order you and Ziba to divide the fields." Mephibosheth said to the king, "Let him take everything, now that my lord the king has arrived home safely." Barzillai, Barzillai, the Gileadite, that's also a son of Joseph, by the way, also came down from Rogelim to cross the Jordan with the king and to send him on his way from there. Now Barzillai was a very old man, 80 years of age. He had provided for the king during his stay in Mahanaim, Mahanaim, for he was a very wealthy man. The king said to Barzillai, "Cross over with me and stay with me in Jerusalem, and I will provide for you." But Barzillai answered the king, "How many more years shall I live, that I should go up to Jerusalem with the king? I am now 80 years old. Can I tell the difference between what is good and what is not? Can your servant taste what he eats and drinks? Can I still hear the voices of men and women singers? Why should your servant be an added burden to my lord the king? Your servant will cross over the Jordan with the king for a short distance. But why should the king reward me in this way? Let your servant return, that I may die in my own town near the tomb of my father and mother. But here is your servant Kimham, Kimham. Let him cross over with my lord the king. Do for him whatever pleases you." The king said, "Kimham shall cross over with me, and I will do for him whatever pleases you. And anything you desire for me, I will do for you." So all the people crossed the Jordan, and then the king crossed over. The king kissed Barzillai and gave him his blessing, and Barzillai returned to his home. When the king crossed over to Gilgal, Kimham crossed with him. All the troops of Judah and half the troops of Israel had taken the king over. This is great ceremonial procession, you have to imagine. Soon all the men of Israel were coming to the king and saying to him, "Why did our brothers, the men of Judah, steal the king away and bring his household across the Jordan together with all his men?" All the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, "We did this because the king is closely related to us. Why are you angry about it? Have we eaten any of the king's provisions? Have we taken anything for ourselves?" The men of Israel answered the men of Judah, "We have 10 shares in the king, and besides, we have a greater claim on David than you have. So why do you treat us with contempt? Were we not the first to speak of bringing back our king?" But the men of Judah responded even more harshly than the men of Israel. So now they're arguing over David like he's a possession. Oof. Egos, egos, egos. But court life, it's usually full of egos. Till the next video, friends. Hello, friends. So, Bible study. The Niv, John, chapter 17. This is video 2. We're going to go from 6 to 19 here. This parable is called Jesus Prays for His Disciples. I have revealed you to those whom you gave me out of this world. He's praying to God. He knows he's about to be arrested, and that he's about to die. He's already prayed for himself. He's, Last Supper has happened. Judas is left. All of that is taken place. And he's just finished praying to God, asking that God remember him so that he get into heaven, since he's been putting his head down and doing the work. I have revealed to you those whom you gave me out of this world, his disciples. They were yours. You gave them to me, and they have obeyed your word. Now they know everything you have given me comes from you. Okay? They don't think he's just like, a Sadducee or just a prophet. They know that his abilities are coming through God. For I gave them the words you gave me, and they accepted them. They knew with certainty that I came from you, and they believed that you sent me. I pray for them. I'm not praying for the world, but for those you have given me, for they are yours. Because remember, at this point, Satan, up to here, has had dominion over earth. So the people on the earth, you belong to a God. And in this case, in my opinion, there's only one God. That's what Jesus believes as well. Or you belong to the devil. So he's like, I can't, not everybody's willing to accept the light of your way. Some of them want the devil. All I have is yours, and all you have is mine. And the glory has come to me through them. They've been doing good works in his name. Good PR. I will remain in the world no longer, but they are still in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Father, protect them by the power of your name, the name you gave me, so that they may be one as we are one. Listen to them whenever they say the words in Jesus' name or some equivalent of that. While I was with them, I protected them and kept them safe by the name you gave me. None has been lost except the one doomed to destruction, so that the scripture would be fulfilled. That's Judas Iscariot. I am coming to you now, but I say these things while I'm still in the world, so that they may have a full measure of my joy within them. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, for they are not of this world, or of the world anymore. Yeah, they're not rolling with the demons. They're not cool with the status quo. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. Keep them safe from Satan. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. Sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. You sent me into the world. I have sent them into the world. For them, I sanctify myself, that they too may be truly sanctified. So he has to stay in alignment with Creator in order to be able to extend the protection of the Holy Spirit out to them, because that's what he's asking for. He's like, when I'm no longer here to be their physical shield, because you have to imagine demons can't come and try to possess anybody who's just in a room with Jesus. They can't be anywhere near Jesus. They run away from Jesus. So while he's walking out in the desert with them, when these demons are just roaming around possessing people, they can't touch them. They can't talk to them. They can't anything, because his presence is too powerful. In fact, his presence is still just that too powerful. Any disturbance around the house, you can just, in the name of Jesus, everybody out, and out they go. You got to do it with conviction, though. Don't try. Gentleness is for healing the human peoples. Casting out, you need authority in your voice. He says so even in the scriptures. So let's remember our own authority today and how we go about the world. Remember, how you respond to other people is about how healed you are and not about whatever they're saying. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in Psalms, Book 5, Psalm 119, and we are doing our alphabet. And I say it like that because at the top there's a heading with a letter that's in Hebrew, and it's got the Hebrew letter next to it. Right, with how you say it. But Hebrew is first and foremost a pictorial language more than it was like this is A, that is B. It gained that kind of thing, but it wasn't first that way. Just like the hieroglyphics were pictorial, so is this. This is Teth. Now, Teth is not just the letter T. It's also the number 9. It's a snake. It's to surround, to twist, or to coil, or in a twisting motion. And see how it's got that shape? You can see how that could be a snake. And what do snakes do? They coil. So it's that kind of thing. Now I'm going to read the poem that they have with this associated with this letter, and then we'll do the next letter, and we'll show you that one, and then the next poem. So, Teth. Do good to your servant according to your word, O Lord. Teach me knowledge and good judgment, for I believe in your commands. Before I was afflicted and I went astray. Before I was afflicted, I went astray. But now I obey your word. You are good, and what you do is good. Teach me your decrees. Though the arrogant have smeared me with lies, I keep your precepts with all my heart. Their hearts are callous and unfeeling, but I delight in your law. It was good for me to be afflicted so that I may learn your decrees. The law from your mouth is more precious to me than thousands of pieces of silver and gold. That's a lot of precious. So, the next letter is Yod. Now that's Yod. It's the smallest of the letters. And it's also one of those other unique ones because it's not just Y. It's also I and E because there's no real vowels. So this is one of those ones that's also a vowel. It's also the number 10. It means a hand closed or closing upon something, to work, a deed done, or a finished work. So all tenses of the term work is Yod. Okay? So, and then Yod. Your hands made me and formed me. Give me understanding to your learning commands. May those who fear you rejoice when they see me, for I have put my hope in your word. I know, O Lord, that your laws are righteous, and in faithfulness you have afflicted me. May your unfailing love be my comfort according to your promise to your servant. Let your compassion come to me that I may live, for your law is my delight. May the arrogant be put to shame for wronging me without cause. But I will meditate on your precepts. May those who fear you turn to me, those who understand your statutes. May my heart be blameless toward your decrees, that I may not be put to shame. I know. So until the next video, friends.